Hello guys, it's your boy Jay coming back again with another video. Today we're going to get into Damar Hamlin's interview. Before we get started, make sure you guys smash that like, that thumbs up. Of course, if you are new, subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. It's going to be an interesting one. We're going to get through it. You guys know that I'm fair, open to have discussions and conversations, respectfully, of course. But let's do it. Let's go through the video. Let's dissect it. Let's talk about it. Let's give our opinions and some facts, and let's do it. Before I get started here, shout out to all the watchers, shout out to the subscribers, as well as the Wrench gang and the family. What's up, KFC? Shout out to you, man. All right, so let's go ahead and get the interview opened here. And I think I just want to skip ahead a little bit here to the actual.
When you were out there, normal?
Super normal, feeling great.
Can you tell me what you remember about the game up until the hit?
I remember the things that we were focused on going into the game, just trying to get a win.
So in the course of the game, you have the hit, you make the tackle. Do you remember standing up after you make that tackle?
That's something I don't really want to get into deep into.
So I feel like that initial question of him, asking him if he remembered it, that long pause is him reliving that trauma. If you were here on the stream and you remembered, I watched it live, and I think in the heat of the moment, none of us really knew how severe it was and the severity of the moment. So just looking at his face by that question, you can tell that he's reliving that trauma, right? How many times have you died and you had to relive that moment? This is stuff to pay attention to. We'll keep it going.
The ambulance is out there on the field, and they are intensely working on Damar Hamlin.
The assistant athletic trainer, Denny Kellington, he came out and administered CPR to you, alerted everyone else that the situation was pretty serious.
I owe Denny my life, literally. Him just he loves to say he was just doing his job, but and which is true. That night he was literally the savior of my life. Administrating CPR on me. And that's something I'm truly thankful for, and I don't take for granted.
Have you gone back and looked at the video of the hit?
I watched it once or twice while I was in the ICU, but I really couldn't watch it too much. So,
and what was that like to watch that?
Just a crazy feeling, something I can't even describe yet. Something I'm still processing, something I'm still trying to work through.
I think it's very, very important to understand, as far as when someone goes to this kind of situation, right? It doesn't have to be something as severe as this, but it could be any injury, anything that's going to put you in the hospital, leads to uncertainties, leads to you wondering what's going to happen to your career, leads to, uncertainties within yourself, just your health in general, especially if you don't know what's actually going on. And I feel like, from someone that was looking on the outside in, nobody really knew, right? Everyone had theories and everyone tried to guess as far as, what the situation was at that moment, but nobody really knew. Shout out to you, Brandy. What's going on, Richard? Shout out to the family.
Why'd it happen to me?
What is the first thing you remember when you started to wake up?
Just hearing family members, my mom, my dad, friends that were there, Just kind of hearing certain people, certain conversations around me, and just trying to tie it all together. The first thing I said when I woke up was, "Did we win?" I was
dude.
thinking about that.
Do you realize when I saw that, I said, "Okay, he's an athlete. He's committed." Because you wake up and you're sitting, you're going, "Did we win?" Your mind is still on the.
We talk about how significant that was, right? How significant it is for someone to come out of a coma and the first thing they ask is, did we win? Showing the competitive nature, showing the competitive spirit. I mean, that kind of basically shows the kind of character that this man has, fighting through adversity, wanting to make sure that his team still won. That was the first question that he asked. And I think people really don't look at that specific entity as who he is. They look at the other stuff. They don't look at, his character in regards to that. Because everything that he does right now is being scrutinized. Whether he was actually at the Bengals game, what he meant by wearing his coat. There's so many things that he's being scrutinized by, but they're forgetting what this man went through, and they're forgetting the fight that he had to have to even be here still to this day. Let's keep it going.
Game.
I'm competitive. And I'm playing with my full heart, everything I got in me. That competitive nature in me was just still just thinking about the game, and I just wanted to know, did we win? Like I said,
what did they tell you?
He said that I won. Yes, I won. I won the game of life.
Yeah, that's true. Did doctors ever come to you and say, this could have gone another way?
Yeah, pretty much. When they, just even saying, you won the game of life. That just kind of put things in perspective for me, hearing it from the doctor. Things could have went differently, and the details of the situation of everything that happened on the field, it could have been the last of me.
Your doctors in Cincinnati, they called your recovery remarkable. I mean, 3 days on the ventilator, your neurological function is intact. I'm sitting here talking to you today. I feel like I wouldn't know anything ever happened to you. Why do you think your recovery is so remarkable?
First and foremost, just God, just a blessing, I'm just thankful he gave me a second chance, just.
Second chance. Second chance. It's very important to understand and acknowledge the powers that be, as well as the first responders and everyone that was there to give him the excellent medical care that he needed to still be here today. I don't think if they wouldn't have responded as fast as they did, I don't think if they would have made sure that he was okay, that he would not be here today. So I'm very glad that he's acknowledged that first and foremost. Dave, I'm going to address you shortly. Let me go ahead and get through the interview and the specific talking points that I want to get to. And then we're going to get into all of that. We're going to have free reign today. I'm going to let you guys get it out. That way this can be, this conversation can be had and you guys can feel like we can have an open discussion respectfully, of course. So I'm going to let you get back to that in a moment.
To live normally and just, not just come out almost without a scratch on me, just to be able to keep going.
After Hamlin was discharged from the ICU, the question on so many minds, what caused his heart to stop beating?
You're 24, peak physical condition, can run circles around me right now. How did doctor describe what happened to you?
That's something I want to stay away from.
I know from my experience.
All right, so everybody's been talking about this specific moment. All right, let me just go back here one more time so you guys can understand the question and then, of course, the pause.
Caused his heart to stop beating.
You're 24, peak physical condition, can run circles around me right now. How did doctor describe what happened to you?
Um, that's something I want to stay away from.
All right, so that's something I want to stay away from. What did he mean by that? You can interpret that many different ways. Many different ways. You could say that it had to do with the vaccine. You could say that it has to do with the fact that he doesn't want to sacrifice his career. You could say that he doesn't want to address it because he doesn't want to relive the situation. There's so many different ways that you can address that specific pause from that statement. So let's go ahead and get into it, Dave. Let's go ahead and do it. Dave's statement. So you told us to shut up when the vaccine was brought up during a stream you had during the game. But some of us did know because instead of paying too much attention to the Rome in the games to distract us. So when you mean no, or when you say no, what do you mean by that? What do you mean you knew? What did you know? When you say things like when you say things that are facts, you have to have a basis for that. How did you know? I need to be enlightened by that. Dave Berkeley says data. What data specifically let you know that Damar Hamlin collapsed because he had the vaccine? What specific data do you know specifically stated that Damar Hamlin collapsed because of a vaccine? What data did you have at that specific moment? Ghost says this could possibly save lives if he does know what caused it. Sure. Right? It can go both ways. If he came out and said, hey, it was the vaccine, right? And there's these reasons why it happened, then of course that could give people more information and make them more educated as far as what specific issue that the vaccine caused. If it was not the vaccine, right, he could have said, well, this specific thing happened to my heart and this is why it happened, and this is what preventative measures I have to put in place now for my heart, and things like that. It goes multiple ways. And I think obviously if you had a previous condition that may have been unknown or something wrong with your heart, guess what? Yes, the vaccine may have played a part into that. It could have triggered it. But that doesn't negate the fact that there may have been something else wrong. Dave says all the data was out there. How many of these hits are actually happening every game week? That's part of the data. So, okay. Let's say I bite to that, right? How many players in the NFL, since you have the data, since you have so much data, how many players in the NFL have taken the vaccine? That's what I want to know, Dave. How many players in the NFL, since you have the data, because don't just have that data, have all of it. How many players in the NFL have taken the vaccine? What percentage? Because I hear this being brought up all the time. All the time, as far as people dropping and different athletes and different sports. And I'm actually going to get to a different sport where heart problems are actually a big issue. I'd have to say not exactly, upwards of 80%. Okay, so if 80% of the league is vaccinated, right? Shouldn't we see more than just Damar Hamlin collapsing? With the theory that everyone has that the vaccine is so dangerous and that it does so much, shouldn't we see a lot more players? Because there's 80% of the NFL is a lot of people. It's a lot of players. So if we see one collapse from what happened specifically, shouldn't somebody else drop before him with that theory? Right? It's not like only 10 people had the vaccine. We're talking hundreds of people. He's the anomaly. Why? Why is he the anomaly then out of 80% of the people? Shout out to Ronald. Says a lot of people is guessing or putting their own spin. They're not really sure. Thank God he's still alive, period. Shout out to you, Ronald. Richard says the point of shutting down comments day of the game was wrong time, not appropriate. That's what I said, Richard. Right? Let's have the facts. Let's have the let's make sure we know what we're talking about before we just spew nonsense. Dave says not everyone develops myocarditis. So then that would defeat the whole purpose of the vaccine narrative, right? Because regardless, everyone who's a part of the conspiracy theory in regards to the vaccine being bad, that would just defeat the whole purpose. Not everyone develops myocarditis. So that would mean that the vaccine has side effects for specific people, which is what's stated when it comes to any vaccine. So Ghost says, Ronald, when he does an interview like this and gives the answer, he did make people speculate, get the word out so we can prevent this from happening again. The speculations in regards to what, though? Right? I mean, I feel like people can speculate because they want to speculate, but you don't have to speculate in regards to anything. You can say, okay, you've seen him take a hit to his chest. They said that it basically caused his heart to stop, which this has happened before, right? This is a situation that has happened before and it has been documented before vaccines were a thing. Be it it's at such a low percentage and an anomaly of happening, but it has happened. Healthy people are dropping at an alarming rate. Dave, the sky is blue. Right? It still doesn't defend the narrative. Healthy people die in car accidents. I mean, come on, man. We gotta listen. There's a difference between having an opinion and stating something as facts. And I think that's the biggest issue with the theory, right? I'm not saying that anybody's right or anybody's wrong, but when you're stating an opinion and calling it facts, that's where the issue is. That's where the problem is. That's why I had an issue with people coming in the chat and saying what they were saying. A lot of people thought that I was just, acting out of order because I said, hey, I didn't want it in the chat during the game. I didn't want it in the chat in the game because it was opinions. It wasn't facts. You can't call an opinion a fact. Ghost says, we know people are going to speculate. I agree with you, Jay, but this interview is only going to enhance speculations. Ghost, I can agree with you there. I can definitely agree with you there for multiple reasons. Obviously, if you don't come out and specifically say what happened, it's going to open the door for anything, right? There's just like what people were saying, like he was a clone or he was deep faked in his interview. I think the bottom line is this: people want answers because he's a public figure. If it wasn't Damar Hamlin and this happened to anybody else, no one would care. It wouldn't be a thing, but because he's an NFL player, he plays for the Buffalo Bills, and he collapsed on Monday Night Football in front of millions of people, everyone expects an answer. But if this was a regular guy, nobody would have cared. Shout out to Ronald says, I think his business isn't everyone's business. None of us assisted him outside of praying for him and his family. Shout out to you, Ronald. I want to bring up some specific stuff because I remember a story last year, or not last year, I apologize, 2021, with an important player for the Brooklyn Nets. Some of you guys may know him by the name of LaMarcus Aldridge. Let me pull this up for you. These are facts. These are facts. Here we go. LaMarcus Aldridge retires after heart scare. This is April 15, 2021. Played for the Brooklyn Nets. Amazing player. After a cardiac incident last week, LaMarcus Aldridge announced Thursday that after 15 years in the NBA, he is retiring from the game. Aldridge says he played his last NBA game on April 10th while dealing with an irregular heartbeat. Though I'm better now, what I felt with my heart that night was still one of the scariest things I've experienced. In a statement issued Thursday morning, Aldridge, a 7-time All-Star with Portland and San Antonio, laid out the issue in his decision. He basically had put this as his press release as far as why he was retiring. So it says, you never know when something will come to an end, so make sure you enjoy it every day. I can truly say I did just that, wrote Aldridge, who is 35 and was only 49 points short of 20,000 points for his career. Sean Marks also issued a statement on behalf of the Nets. Now, I want to skip past this because this is very important, what I'm about to get into. I remember, before I get into the rest of the story, I remember that there was so many people who said it was the vaccine and said it was COVID and everything else, right? That's what they said when it came to LaMarcus Aldridge retiring because he had a heart issue. So, continuing on. There's growing medical research on how very tall men are susceptible to sudden cardiac death. 5 former Nets have died from the condition. A 2016 study by David Engel of Columbia University on behalf of the NBA found basketball players have the highest incidence of sports-related sudden cardiac death among all athletic groups. This is a fact. This is not opinion. This was a study done back in 2016. Jeff Stotts of the In Street Clothes blog tweeted that Aldridge has been treated in the past for heart issues, noting that he had been diagnosed with Wolff-Parkinson-White WPW syndrome, a rare congenital condition that causes a rapid heartbeat and leads to serious heart problems. Aldridge, Stotts reported, underwent procedures in 2007 following his initial diagnosis and prior to the start of the 2011 season. Both procedures occurred while he was a member of the Trailblazers. He also reported arrhythmia in March 2017 while with the Spurs. I bring this up because a lot of people use this to their advantage to have some kind of talking point when it came to the vaccine and COVID in general. LaMarcus Aldridge retired because he had heart issues his whole career, basically. I'm not discrediting the fact that the vaccine may have side effects. I'm not discrediting the fact that COVID has caused myocarditis and people have had heart issues and heart trouble. I myself have had issues because of COVID. I'm not denying that fact. But the problem is when we don't have all the facts, we don't have everything that we need to make the decisions, and we're just spewing out nonsense, that's where the problem comes in. We have to be realistic because all propaganda does is just scare people. That's the reality of it. Chill says, let's not forget that one of the Watt brothers also retired for heart concerns. Yes, he did. Do we know why? Shout out to Richard, says, there is a reason we have HIPAA laws. People use medical issues against them. He wants an NFL career if possible. Let's say not vax. It's his right. It's his right not to share. Exactly. Right. He does. I remember seeing somebody had said something in regards to he owed the people a response. He was obligated to give a response in regards to what happened. He's not obligated to say anything about his life. Where is it that we've I'm confused. Where is it that anybody has to say anything in regards to their health, possibly besides the president, in which a doctor has to come out and say whether or not he's fit for the job? And normally that's all they say is that they're fit. They don't go into every specific detail in regards to their health. They give you a basically simple list of things that they're supposed to be able to do and perform at that level as the president. And then they move on and they say, all right, he can do the job. And that's it. Shout out to Dan says, I read a medical thing recently where a study showed that a person's heart only has X amount of beats in it before it's done. Started having problems, not unlike a car part. Well, I mean, nobody, listen, here's the reality of stuff, okay? Nobody knows their expiration date. All right? Nobody knows when things are going to start going wrong. They just do. And then obviously you deal with it at that point. That's just the reality of it. I want to say this. And I think it's very important that I say this before I wrap this up. A lot of the people, I'm not going to say every one of you or every one of them, but a lot of people who are so wrapped up into this COVID and vaccine conspiracy are the same people who have a bad diet, who do drugs, smoke every day, not take care of themselves, don't exercise, but you have a theory and you're a conspiracy theorist in regards to a vaccine and COVID and how it's going to kill people and what it's doing. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Shout out to Ryan. Says the only people that know their expiration date are the people on death row. Yeah, yeah, pretty much, Ryan. Dan says it is said was the only reason they felt why many athletes had heart problems early. Too much exercise had used up their heart. Found it interesting. Yeah, I mean, people don't realize like you can damage your heart from too much exercise. That's a fact. That's been documented. Victor says you were doing the same thing. What am I doing? Please explain. I hate these blanket statements that people make. Like, say exactly what I'm doing since I'm doing the same thing. So Will Tennessee says, I had a double bypass heart surgery at 37 years old. The day I got out of the hospital, I had a heart attack at Walmart and went back into the hospital. I'm 41 now. Much love to you, Will. I'm glad you're able to recover, man. I seriously mean that. Ryan Devlin says, I had cardiac catheterization where they had to put 2 stents in. Ryan, what was that from? Dave, what did the study from Israel say? Will Tennessee says everyone should be able to do CPR. I agree with that statement, Will. I definitely agree with. Never know. You never know what kind of situation you're put in. You never know if you're going to be able to, need to help somebody. So I agree with that statement. Look it up, Jay. I can't text it all. So you said it's a study out of Israel on regards to what specifically? Victor says putting everyone into groups. What groups have I put anyone in? What groups have I put anyone in? I don't think so either. Will Tennessee. Um, Obviously, I think at this point, him being on the field is a liability. I don't think a team should take that chance, and I don't think he should take that chance with his life. To be honest. Dave says, I think he should have done some more research before doing the stream. In regards to what specifically? We can sit here and talk about articles and talk about researches and studies and come up with ideas and thoughts and opinions in regards to somebody's life. But at the end of the day, until you're looking at Damar Hamlin's actual medical history and what the doctors actually say what happens, and you look at the charts and all that kind of stuff, which nobody here has a medical degree, unless I'm wrong. This is the issue that I'm having. I don't think people really get why I have the issues that I do with just the opinions in general. Nobody here has a medical degree. Right? It's okay to talk about stuff and have an opinion towards it, but when you're saying when you're saying I'm stating facts because I went and looked at something and you don't have a medical degree, that discredits it right there because you don't know what you're reading. You don't know what you're looking at. You're making an opinion based on what you think is accurate. Shout out to Will. Says Brian, they tried to put stents in, but where I had blockage, they couldn't do. They took 2 veins out of my leg and put them in my heart. Yes, that's tough to hear, Will. But I am glad that you definitely. I am glad that you recovered. Victor says, "Go back and think what you just said about people." I literally, I know exactly what I said. I said, I feel like most people who deal in the COVID vaccine conspiracy theory are the same people who don't take care of themselves, who do drugs, who don't eat right, who don't exercise. That's exactly what I said. And I'm pretty sure, in my opinion, I'm not wrong. Dave says, are you just worried of the truth of the medical studies because you took the vaccine? We all have a brain and can figure out things without having a degree in the exact thing. Dave, regardless of what, see, this is the problem. If I tell you I did take it, then you're gonna be like, well, he was scared of it. If I tell you that I didn't take it, well, what he's just dumb. He's not understanding. Do you see the problem there? That's the issue with it. Because it doesn't matter whether or not I did take it or I didn't. That's the point that I'm making. FYI, I didn't put myself in that situation, for those who want to know. But I'm still advocating for facts over opinions and facts over feelings. Since I have to put it out there. Here's my thing. I'm going to end it with this, guys. I just really feel like this whole thing has not only created a divide in people just from a logical standpoint and having a basic conversation, because I can't have an opinion without making somebody mad. Right? I can't have an opinion without making somebody mad, because at the end of the day, some people believe so strongly in things that they believe in that no matter what, you can't have an open dialogue without somebody feeling disrespected. And that's just the reality of it. Shout out to Dave, says, I knew this pandemic was BS from the get-go. Here's how. They told us to wear a mask, and then I looked up the size of a molecule, the size of the a virus molecule. Okay. Ghost says, that's life, Jay. It's never going to be 100% agreement on just about anything. Not that it's always bad. Yeah, I mean, listen. I will say this. For the people that know me and the people that rock with me, you guys know, like, I'm able to have a conversation with anybody, talk about anything, and have that respectful conversation, and we can agree to disagree. That's just the reality of it. But there's a lot of things right now that have not only created division as far as for people, but you know, there's a lot of stuff. And of course, one of the biggest things too is being able to share opinions without somebody getting mad or somebody getting aggravated or someone just having to, feel a certain way. So I never want that, right? I want us to always be able to have a conversation and talk to each other, regardless of what it is, right? Obviously, I try to keep it sports for the most part. This is a sports topic. Unfortunately, it's a little political as well. That's just how it goes. Um, but here's the bottom line, right? Damar Hamlin is obviously alive. We can stop the clone talk. Okay. Let me rephrase that. We should stop the clone talk, because somebody out there is still going to believe that he's a clone. Whether or not he collapsed due to the vaccine, we'll probably never know. We'll never know. Would it be nice to know exactly what happened so people can make educated decisions and so that it doesn't happen again? Yes, I will 100% agree with that. It would be great to know what exactly happened so that we could make educated decisions as far as how we need to move forward on various different topics. Will we know? We won't. That's just the reality of it. Shout out to Will Tennessee. Says, I wasn't going to play with my life after having heart surgery and heart problems, so I took the vaccine and I'm healthy ASF. Well, shout out to you, Will. I want to commend you, like I said, for everything that you've been through and for you making the decision that you did. I respect people for making their decisions and standing on them. So much respect to you, sir. Ryan says, I think DeMar should retire. That's some serious stuff. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it comes down to money, legacy, and pride. We'll have to see. Shout out to you, Rebecca. What's going on? How you guys doing on this Sunday morning? What's up, Patricia? Yeah, Patricia, you remember what happened. It was tough. It was tough. Shout out to you, Richard, coming through. Says it was Jay Reese and clone wearing the Bengals hat. Yeah, guys, it wasn't me during the Super Bowl. It was a clone wearing that Bengals hat. And so yeah, Yeah, it wasn't me. It was a clone wearing the Bengals hat, guys. Because I'd never wear a Bengals hat. Never wear a Bengals hat. Got the good old Buffalo Braves jersey on today, Mr. McAdoo. Mr. McAdoo. LW says, enjoy the YouTube money. Always. Always. Thanks for being here, man. Ryan says you send that hat to JMO. No, somebody else took it. They sent me an email. They said they wanted it, so I got to send it to them. Yo, LW, it's funny. You want to talk about YouTube money? Let's talk about these guys who make a living off conspiracy theories off YouTube. They make hundreds of thousands of dollars. Okay, hundreds of thousands of dollars off of conspiracy theories and things that are unfounded, and nobody says anything to them. Dave says one last word. Look at the Israel study. Dave, I'll really look at it. I'll really look at it. And if we do have another discussion or topic like this, I'll make sure that we can, dialogue about that as well. Ryan says, and now one of them is getting sued. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's the reason why. See, there's a reason why, like, when someone is like, their name is in the news for like crimes and stuff like that, you have to say allegedly, right? That's why you have to say things like this person allegedly did this, or they can come back and sue you for defamation, right? Because it's not a fact when you say stuff. You can't just spew nonsense on the internet, especially if it's an opinion. So, but all right, guys, you guys know it's all love. Great conversations. Back to the NBA. Soon here. We got All-Star game, right? All-Star game. I don't think I'm going to be able to actually stream it, but I will drop a video in regards to my thoughts on it. And Ghost says truth, Brett Favre trying to get paid. Listen, that's why Michael Irvin is in the same spot that he's in, right? He's like, listen, all right, if you're gonna say that I did something and I get kicked off a network and I didn't do it, guess what? I'm suing everybody. I'm gonna sue the Marriott and you for $100 million, and then I'm gonna come for the NFL Network after that because they took me off the air because of something they said, which cost me money and ruined my reputation. Shout out to Rebecca. She says, I need some new conspiracies. Mine all came true. XFL sucks. That's a fact. Richard, I haven't even like paid attention to it. Everyone was mentioning it. I haven't paid attention to it, man. I've been trying to live life for a little bit for a few days. So yeah, I've been trying to live life for a few days. Shout out to Dan. Says people should be happy with the fact that he's still alive. Exactly. That's the most important part, guys. The most important part about this thing is realizing that we have one life to live and nobody makes it out of here alive. So enjoy it while you're here. Go outside, get some fresh air. Stop worrying so much about the conspiracy theories and be happy. With that said, guys, make sure you smash that thumbs up, subscribe if you have not, turn on your notifications, and I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good day, everybody.